two ways to buy your games: physically at a store and digitally. Not at a store. And while you can get a few digital copies of games at certain retailers, the main place to get your Nintendo digital games is on a little app for your Switch, the Nintendo Switch Eshop. It's been around since the console's launch, and has been the prime destination for indie gems, games you've never heard of, or the digital versions of your favorite classics. Or it would be if the Nintendo Switch Eshop didn't suck. I know, bold statement. But I honestly believe that the Nintendo Switch Eshop is a run-down, clunky, slow, annoying piece of shit. And I have such a terrible time every time I use it. I don't know how, but it's gotten worse over the past 8 years or so. It's no wonder I'm a physical collector. But why is the eShop this way? And is there any hopes of it ever being good? Well, before we talk about how hard it fell, we need to go back to when the eShop was at its peak. Play the music! The Wii Shop Channel, Nintendo's first digital shop for the Nintendo Wii. God, just hearing the music fills me with nostalgia. The Wii Shop Channel was your mainstay to get virtual console games, along with exclusive WiiWare titles. It was a fun shop with music and atmosphere. All the games were organized by their console and other settings. There was a separate point currency that was kind of weird, but also very Nintendo. Either way, it was a great method to awesome games digitally, while introducing the concept of virtual console, allowing older games to finally be played on modern consoles. You could finally play Super Mario Bros. On a modern console, before you could do it again. And then again! Other than the point conversion being a little awkward, it did so much for the Wii. Not only giving us a library of cherished older titles to play, but exclusive ones too. Sure, a lot of them were weird, but there were some real gems in there as well, like World of Goo. That was a cool one. I had a lot of fun back in the day just browsing through the shop, seeing what was on sale. But that's all it was. Mostly virtual console and a few other select games here and there. You didn't get actual games that were sold in stores. In the Wii era, physical was still the only way to get Nintendo games. However, that all changed a generation later with the Wii U and 3DS eShop. Play the music! The Wii U and 3DS eShop took everything from the Wii Shop and improved it immensely. First off, you could buy modern games digitally now. Not just for the virtual console, not just exclusive titles, but modern games you could get in stores, you can now just download them to your system. I know this is nothing now, but it was a pretty big deal for Nintendo fans at the time. They also ditched that whole point system and simply let you put money into each account. Everything was sorted by title, system, or game franchise. Just click on a picture of Link, and there's all the Legend of Zelda games for sale, both modern and classic. And yes, the Virtual Console is back, and better than ever, including some DS and Wii games too, like Metroid Prime Trilogy and Animal Crossing Wild World. There was some exclusive stuff too, like Dinosaur Office, a web show about dinosaurs in an office. Remember that? It wasn't perfect though. For example, you couldn't really buy a Wii U game on the 3DS eShop or 3DS games on the Wii U eShop. They were both separate shops, which I get, they were separate systems, but wouldn't it make sense to, combine the shops in general? And in fact, link the systems in general? For some reason, they just didn't really do that, and it was kind of confusing. There were a few other issues too, but it still was a great step forward for the eShop in general. The music and overlay was modernized as well, with it playing different music depending on the time of year. It always felt super festive on the eShop during the holidays. Perfect to listen to as you got an eShop gift card for Christmas. I remember having a blast buying games on the Wii U and 3DS eShop, even up until it closed. I made a video where I spent $600 there. Rip my money. And I'm still sad it's no longer available to this day. And just like the money I spent right before it closed, the Wii U and 3DS eShop is gone for good. But that's okay, because we have the Nintendo Switch eShop, right? Since the Wii to 3DS Wii U improved so much, I'm sure the Wii U, 3DS, the Switch will be even better. Play the music! Play the music! Where's the music? You start the eShop, go through a loading screen with no music in the slightest. All quiet on the shopping front. No, like the music on the eShop was such a good first impression, and to see them just gut it out of the Switch was always something that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, you want to shop somewhere that's fun, lively, and puts a smile on your face while you spend your money. Here, there's none of that, just quiet and orange. And yes, all the character images of Mario, Link, and everything are gone too. Just screen after screen of white and orange. Which leads to complaint number 1 for the Nintendo Switch eShop: finding the games. Remember how everything was sorted by game type, game franchise, gaming system? There's none of that! There are now only 9 things on the main menu on the left, with games on the right. Search and browse. Featured. Recent releases. Great deals. Bestsellers. Coming soon. Nintendo Switch Online. I made a whole other video about that. Enter code. Sounds like you have no problem finding every game you wanted using those options, right? Oh, trust me, it's harder than it looks. Sure, you can look for games if you know what you're looking for with the search function, but what about finding hidden gems or titles you don't know you're interested in yet? Featured and bestsellers feature the best-selling stuff or well-known titles. Recent releases just chronicle all the new stuff on the eShop for the day, for better or for worse. We'll get to that later. Coming soon is just a preview for new releases. Greatest deals is the closest thing you'll get to finding random games or anything Nintendo isn't actively pushing down your throat with the other categories. It takes every game on sale and just throws them in that section, so you can get a good deal if you want to. So if you want to look for new games that aren't first party or a popular indie title, that's 1, maybe 2 out of 9 categories that'll be useful. Compare this to Steam, where there are algorithms. It knows what you play and will recommend other games based on your history. Is it perfect? Not at all. But at least it recommends something to play and doesn't rely on stuff that's just selling well. Hell, with the eShop, a lot of the best sellers I already own physically. I wish it kept track of that and would show me other things instead. But that's simply too much to ask, I guess. There's not even a rating system where users can rate the games, or a place to leave reviews. That would help so much when deciding what Switch games to get. How about a random pick option where it just shows a random game to try out? We can't even gift games to our friends to try, something that should have been present day 1. Reason number 2. eShop's a little slow. I know people complain about the performance of Switch games, but the most glitchy and low-performing thing on the Switch is the eShop. Seriously, even scrolling down from options on the side can take 10 to 15 seconds, something that should take a millisecond at most. And that's just going to each category. Scrolling through games is the worst, as the more you scroll, the slower it gets. Why is it like this? I know Nintendo is not the best with online, but I don't understand what kind of server this is that it just runs like this. It feels like I'll make the wrong move and everything will crash instantly. Why is it like this for the main shop? It makes it so hard to find games when you can't even scroll through the library after a certain point. If there's one thing that actually seems to work, downloading games itself isn't too bad. It's pretty straightforward. Makes sense Nintendo got the important part right, but that'll do you a lot of good if you can't find more games to download. It's not all bad though. If you want, you can go directly to the Nintendo website on your computer, look up games there, buy them, and as long as you're connected to your Nintendo account, you can have them downloaded straight to your Switch. While that's effective and easier, it's nowhere near as fun as before. Half the fun of the Wii, Wii U, and 3DS eShops is that you could access the menus and browse right on your system. It felt like it was a part of the console. And the fact that you can't do that reliably for the Switch, even years later, is just disappointing. And number 3, my final reason I have issues with the Nintendo Switch eShop: the quality of games. Remember how in the early days, I'm talking the NES days, where it had that Nintendo seal of approval sticker, where as long as you had that sticker, you knew it was verified by Nintendo, and you were going to get something good. Or at least licensed. Well, forget that! For some reason, the eShop decided to open the floodgates and let anyone make a game these days. And while the eShop started out with great games, a lot of the stuff there now is just plain garbage. Whether it's a cheap game with an AI thumbnail or some pre-asset slop someone put together in a couple of hours, there are so many bad games just littered on here. These are games that aren't fun to play, look terrible, and even steal music or assets from other games. Oh, don't believe me? Let's take a look at Pizza Parking, a game I downloaded years ago on the Nintendo eShop. Look at the menu. It's bare bones using like Times New Roman Arial font. And the design of the car and roads looks straight out of a Game Jam reject. The controls are weird too. It feels as clunky as it looks. And listen what happens when you beat the level. Why is it playing the Final Fantasy theme? Sir, Mr. Developer of Pizza Parking, I don't think you could use it in your game, good sir. Sephiroth isn't ordering Domino's anytime soon. But the worst offenders of the eShop are... God, I can't even say their full name here. I guess I'll call them Octopus Games. Sorry, DJ Octavio. These games are everywhere on the eShop, polluting and dominating the new releases tab. Just take a look at these. They usually have a picture of cute-looking girls and... Yeah, that's it. What? You want something creative? Obviously, you don't know how things work around here. You know, for such a family-focused company, you'd think Nintendo would be better at keeping an eye on these things. What happens if a kid wants to look up new games coming out? You can have parental controls that stop them from buying it, but they can still see them plain as day on the eShop page. Little Timmy is seeing the naughty games, no! Is it so much to ask for quality games on the eShop? If you have to have these games, at least give me a way to get them out of my sight. Another reason why we need some sort of algorithm to help us find new games and keep us away from the octopus ones. And that's why I think the Nintendo Switch eShop is terrible. It's slow, clunky, has garbage games all over the place, and it buries the games we want in hard-to-find places. It really is the worst thing about the Nintendo Switch, and I feel a lot more people would buy digitally if the eShop were a better experience overall. However, as it is now, it's embarrassing, especially compared to all the other online stores Nintendo has put up in the past. It's not even a competition. The Wii and Wii U and 3DS eShops blow it out of the water, and unlike those, the less I spend on this digital storefront, the better. Now, the question is, why bring this up now? Why bring up how bad the eShop is 8 years after the release? Well, for one, some popular Nintendo YouTubers did talk about how bad the eShop was, but that never really went anywhere, so that's one reason. The main reason I bring this up, though, is because the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. And with Switch Online coming back, I'm concerned what elements of this hellhole of an eShop are going to carry over. Will they just not change a thing and bring it over as is? If I'm being honest, yeah, probably. That's the laziest thing they could do. But a part of me hopes that they use this new console as a way to start something fresh. I hope they'll take the eShop and make it what it once was. Or even better, return the game and franchise categories. Make an algorithm that shows us games we would like based on our actual play habits, and suggest titles that are normally buried. make browsing games easier and fun with graphics and music. A better eShop not only means more sales for Nintendo, but more sales for the game devs who work hard to put their games out there in the first place. And now that we got backwards compatibility confirmed, having a new and better eShop is on the top of my list for the Nintendo Switch 2. But until I can set it on fire and hope it rises like a phoenix, the current eShop is as broken and beaten as a starving vulture in the desert, and it's an absolute piece. Now, there's one thing I have to try to see if it works. It's not the same! Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you like what you saw, be sure to like the video, leave a comment, and check out my other videos too. Special thanks to all the people who helped me out with the video. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Also an extra special thanks to my Patreon patrons, including Mantelferox and Savacom. You all support me and it all truly means so much to me. If you'd like to join the Patreon, the link is in the description below, along with my Twitch and Instagram. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good night.